And thank you for being patient.
I am a good neighbor.
Great. So, Robert and I were just speaking before, and perhaps, Robert, you should take it from here and explain what happened in your perspective.
If you felt threatened that day in the park, I apologize, but to insult my upbringing because it wasn't yours is insulting to me.
Well, hang on. Can you back up a little bit on that?
No.
Because I'm not sure. I'm not clear exactly what you're saying.
What I'm saying is I apologize if she felt threatened.
Okay. So let me. Wait,
but
let me
I don't.
Hold on. Let me just pause. Let me just find out if she was threatened, and then you can see what happens with the apology. So, and can I fill in a little bit of what we did? So,
sure.
Okay. So.
He sounds very mad.
Yeah, well,
that apology doesn't
Robert
sound...
may well be
I'm
mad.
telling you how I felt that.
Yeah.
You sound mad, and as if your words were daggers, they would spear me. And if that was an apology, I don't believe it, but I would like to hear how we could get to an apology, because I believe that we're never going to move forward unless we truly make amends for what went wrong in the park last week.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I chuckled a little bit because it did sound to me, it resonated with me that you sounded upset. And so I get that part. So I don't want you to apologize if you're not feeling that that's what you're feeling. So it may be my bad.
I mean, that's what I teach my kids to do. As much as this guy teases me about the way I parent my kids, I do teach them to try to really understand, you know, where the perspective, to read the person and really get to know what they're thinking and feeling. And so I can't believe, I mean, with my older one, I could sort of get it if he thought he had the right to confront him. You know, he's 7, but the 2-year-old, 2. I'm talking diapers still, so you don't have the right, nobody has the right to talk to a 2-year-old like that.
So here's what happened in our meeting. I asked Robert to sit in your chair and look at the situation from your point of view. When I played him and in this unauthorized way said, "You brat," and what is the feeling that comes up?
And we're so different. It must have been very interesting to see him try to put himself in my shoes.
So that's something that I'll ask you to talk about. What did it feel like when?
Well, as I said to you, I would have reacted the same way had it been as Carol did.
Right.
Had it been a stranger.
Okay. So let's first bookmark this piece.
Okay.
That had Robert put himself in your shoes, from your perspective, he got the feeling of defensiveness toward the child.
Yes, and complete.
Yeah.
Yes. Defensiveness meaning what I reacted to, that sort of like animal, like how dare you, you know.
Yeah.
Which,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. Now there's a difference here. This is the piece that I think you'd want me to talk about, which is he felt, and I'm going to use this as my word, license to say this. And I'm curious if when I say that, you think, do I have 7 heads? Or do you know what I mean when I say that word license in this context?
I don't think you have 7 heads. I think we have a history. I think we've been neighbors for 5 years. I think my husband and I have been very fair to Robert and Ralph, and in fact we started off sort of a little bit more, I mean, I believe we had dinner parties, and you know, there was some sense of neighborly, which is great. That's what New York is about, right? And you accept everything and every kind of person, and you don't get to order when you sign a lease, right? Where it's who's going to be living. You just that's your neighbor, and I'm sure you can agree. Maybe perhaps it wasn't your dream to have a family that had kids that you know. I don't wash their hair every day. I'm not that mom, you know. I'm definitely not. I'm not saying I let them go around and say and do whatever they want, which I think is maybe Robert's perspective, but certainly in terms of him not being a stranger, I think a 2-year-old looks at you, a 2-year-old, as being a big strange man. To me, you would be scary if you were a 2-year-old. Now, my older one, Alexander, he might have been able to process maybe you snapping at him like that, saying those words. But, you know, it's even a size thing. I don't know if you remember how 2 is small. It's small, and I'm not a perfect person. I've certainly snapped at my kids before and said things, but that's because of the work I do. It's 24-hour mothering. It's hard work, you know. But not to the 2-year-olds. So I don't know. We're agreeing on whether he had the right.
Well, that's something for you and for Robert to work out. What I'm guessing brought you in here is that Robert felt that he had the ability, the right, to speak directly.
You said the license too.
The license, right. Speak directly because of the relationship, because he knew the child, because he held the baby, and so on. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
But
So
our relationship has been more adversarial since the second baby was born. I mean, and that is the truth. And I have to say, it started off being like, would you mind, or could you try? Yeah. And then I feel like it's built into this big volcano.
Well, because there's never been an answer to the would you mind or the could you try.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So here's the piece, okay, that when we first walked in here, the image I got was complete unauthorized, from your perspective, speaking to a child where you go for parent instead. But now what's unfolded a little bit here is there's some context and there's a relationship here. And here, maybe some boundaries were crossed.
Yes.
Where Robert felt he had the ability, the license to do this, you felt otherwise. And then there was some other stuff in the relationship that transpired between the two of you as adults that may have sort of interfered with, I don't know, let's say the purity of Robert's intentions in this case. Now before I just want to point something out. I noticed you're taking a deep breath here and sighing. And I'm curious if there's anything to that side.
When we first moved in, and Alexander was 3 at that time, there was no issues. That child is an angel. That child does not do what this little one does. I don't know if it is a sudden switch in parenting by committee, or what happened with this second child that suddenly it's parenting by committee and let it do whatever it wants. The Alexander is an amazing little kid. He's respectful, more so than the parent.
So where's the breath coming from? When I asked you about that.
The breath is that I believe that there's something else. This is about something else.
Okay.
And I am not going to be the one to bring it up.
Okay.
Because it doesn't affect me. I want quiet.
Okay.
I want peace.
Okay.
I want this child to be disciplined.
Okay.
I don't want to be interrupted at all hours of the day and night, and then oh, well, you know, it's just a baby.
All right.
Well, I know from babies. I know from children.
Okay.
And they're not all like that. This is a little monster that she will not discipline.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, I had about a minute of like a spiritual break where I felt a little step. And by you calling my child an it and a monster, by the way, the second baby is 2. So if in case you don't remember that far back, or in your family, 2-year-olds were never 2-year-olds. I don't know how you were raised, but I certainly, I don't feel really mad about that. I feel really sad and sick in my heart about that you would call my child a monster. And actually, he has a name. It's Andreas, okay? The 2-year-old has a name, Andreas. And how dare you call one an angel and one a monster? How dare you? I don't call you and your partner monsters. And certainly I wouldn't do it in this room to your face.
So,
but you would do it behind my back.
Hang on a minute. Hold on.
No, because this is where the underlying thing is.
Yeah.
Rob has got nothing to do with it. He doesn't want anything. It doesn't want anything to do with you. He doesn't want to be bothered.
I'm sorry that you have picked a partner that has no love and understanding in his heart for his neighbors.
Where's Carl?
He's busy working.
Oh.
Carl is totally on my side with this. All right, he totally
Really?
agrees with me. Yes, but he's not gonna get. He has got things to do, and I told him when you cross this line, he said, go to court, and then let me know, and I'll pay for it. And I said, great, because at this point, I have not. I prayed about it. I've talked to my friends. I've tried to leave you notes saying how
notes with a Bible verse on at the bottom of every note.
It's a piece of literature. If you're a New York City man, you will be open to reading literature as you would anything else. I don't think it's funny.
I don't believe that you're actually calling the Bible literature.
I am, because I'm trying to understand from your point of view how you may view things like the Bible. I mean, I've done a lot of research on this, and
Carol, I'm sorry I'm interrupting. Let's just break in here. I've noticed in the past minute or so or two a real escalation in what's been going on. And for a while we had what I felt was like a tether of dialogue, and then there was a break and a big thing, and I wanted to just sit back and see what would happen. And I'm curious if this is helpful to you, and if it is, you can certainly continue by all means. And if it isn't, then I could offer you maybe an alternative, but I'm curious as to what happened.
No, I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it's helpful because
I don't know if it's helpful or not, but I have to say, if I am being picked on in our building for being the kind of person that has a family with children that live their lives, then I feel it's fair to address and pick on or give back information on how I feel this lifestyle and this family
What do you mean by this? Can you describe what this is?
Well, I'm assuming it's, well, you and your partner are partners. This is a gay couple that lives in New York. It's not very hard to say. And this is a gay couple that lives in New York. And I just feel like I am being looked down upon because of my spiritual values and my moral values. And when I share something to you from, a piece of literature, a work of art that I believe is truly God asking me just to be more open to my family and my family choices. You think that perhaps I'm damning you to hell, and it's not the case. I didn't realize that us having children, that would put such a big rift between us just as neighbors. And
So, wait, before you respond, I just want to ask you how do you respond to Carol's sort of description of you and Ralph as a gay couple, and that she's being picked on for having a spiritual life? Is that right, or a religious life? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's hard for me to feel like I'm just. Yes, that's it. That's what I'm saying.
So those two things. How do you respond to those two things?
I respond to the fact that I've never picked on her for her lifestyle.
Okay.
I have asked her to keep her kids under control. If that is being picked on, it's a new definition for picked on, in my opinion.
Well, there is what you may be asking, and then there's a delivery of how you're asking it.
That's a very good point. Can I just bring that up right there? Because I actually feel like I'm a grown woman, and I've spent plenty of time, even with my own brothers and sisters, picking on them. But when you're feeling harassed, and you're feeling denigrated, and you're feeling sort of threatened, and also
harassed like I will pray for you every day. I'll pray for you. I'm praying for you. Here's another Bible verse. Here's another Bible verse. Hope you don't go to hell. I mean, that's what I hear every time you say I'm praying for you, instead of okay, I'll try to keep the kids under control.
Can I say something?
Well, actually, hold on. Let me say something here. Okay, so here's where I see you're not really connecting. You're saying, I want to be able to live a spiritual life, I want to be able to read the Bible, and what I'm hearing here is, no, you're, well, it's kind of a parallel. You said when Robert was first apologized to you, said there were daggers, sort of you experienced them as daggers.
Yes.
And what I'm hearing Robert say, again, these are my words, is that the Bible verses are sort of how Robert perceives them as, they're more attacking than they are something else.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And so he wants to sort of be left alone, and he wants to be his quiet and his desire for quiet and so on. He would like to have protected, and he's not receiving that coming from you.
I apologize if those Bible verses seem as if I'm saying you're going to hell. I cannot change myself, and I cannot change what I believe, but I do not want them to come across as me damning you to hell, because nobody has the right to do that. That's at the end of our days. We will find out what will happen.
What is your intention in putting up the
But my
verses?
intention was to let you know that you have a place in my life and in my building, and that I don't want us to have. I want you to know that I'm reaching out to connect with you, but I'm also a little bit. I mean, I do pray for you. I worried about you, and your Ralph doesn't seem well, and I don't understand. It seems like perhaps you have. I'm just worried. I'm worried for my kids. I don't know.
What are you worried about?
I'm worried about. You know, it's been obvious that he lost quite a bit of weight in the last year or two, and I feel like you. As much as my kids live in my house the way they do, it seems as if you have quite a few people who come to your apartment also, and I don't know exactly what the story is, but they all seem to be male, and quite a few of them don't look very well to me, so I'm a little worried about, is everyone all right? If you're sick,
what is it you worry about?
Sick. I'm worried about, I don't know much about it, but I know that there are different sicknesses that people can have if they're autoimmune, and I'm assuming that sometimes when I see somebody who's gay and who's not looking well, that perhaps they're sick. And the germs will, you know, I have just a smaller person now. It's not, this is my big one, the one you call an angel, but my smaller one, and I don't know.
So your concern is that you think that your baby may catch AIDS?
I know that's silly, because I know you can't actually catch AIDS, but I just don't know exactly what's going on and why there's so many people coming to your apartment all the time. And so yes, I did pray for you, and I'm sorry if that's not the way that you look at being a neighborly.
Let me pause here for a minute and just sort of reflect on what I heard. So there's a piece here where Carol is trying to reach out with the Bible verses. From her perspective, how it lands with you is a different story. But from her perspective, the taping of them is a reaching out. And then, but there's another piece that I appreciate you voicing.
Well, I just didn't know how to say it, but I mean, I feel like if you've already said to my child, you know, I hate you, you're an annoying little brat, and don't live your life the way you want to live it, well, then you've crossed a boundary that I thought was one out of just neighbors. You just keep some things to yourself. And so I'll cross the boundary too. I'll throw it out there. I don't hate you. I just don't understand you. I don't agree with your lifestyle. And there is a part of my world where I say I don't know what's happening. I don't know if somebody's sick. Is it contagious? And maybe I'm limited in that way. Educate me, you know.
So well, why did it take this long for you to say, educate me? Why didn't you just knock on the door?
Well, it hasn't been going very well between us, if you didn't notice.
Well,
and also, I'm tired. I'm tired of running after two energetic, lovely kids. And I feel like it's, you know.
And Robert, let me also suggest to you that I am really impressed with each of you, that you're able to actually figure this out in this way in such a short period of time. And I know that for you it seems like it's been 2 years of loss of sleep and so on, and sometimes people go a lot longer than that before they come to a place where they can actually have this conversation. And I'm really touched by each of you and honored to be able to participate.
Well, it just seems convenient that, and yes, Ralph is sick. He has cancer. Cancer. You know, everyone can get cancer. Neither here nor there. Ralph used to be a dancer, and I used to be a a dance choreographer. A lot of our friends got sick. 1/3 of the people that come to my house are women, straight women of color who are HIV positive. I have a group of friends that we have support groups. We support each other. The fact that in 2012, someone could say, I don't want my 2-year-old to get sick by being in the same building with someone who's sick is outrageous. Absolutely and utterly outrageous.
What do you mean by that, outrageous?
With all of the information that's out there right now, to know what can cause HIV, and to know that you can't catch it by shaking hands with someone or going down the same staircase, I find that completely and utterly outrageous, and I sort of Ralph and I are trying to make life better for our small group of friends who we don't know how long they're going to have. But with advances that are out there, things are becoming much more manageable. And the meetings are actually becoming less frequent because this is going to sound horrible to say, everyone's living too long. It's like, okay, enough already, go, live. Ralph is not going to live. I mean, he has stage 4 prostate cancer. He's only 40 years old. He's going to die. Neither here nor there. If there was ever a knock on my door as to, well, why? Why do I have to keep my kids so quiet? Maybe then there would have been a dialogue started much sooner.
Maybe. But the key thing from my perspective is the dialogue has started here and now. And one of the things that I heard Carol say is educate me. So she may not be aware.
But this is the first time she's ever said anything like that.
How many times do you need?
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry about Ralph, and I honestly don't know how I'm going to be able to have my kids not be who they are, but I feel like regardless of what space between us, we'll never come closer because of our upbringing. I would never wish anybody to be sick. I absolutely feel it's within my right to worry about the safety and health of my own children. And one thing I didn't know much about, it was, you know, coming up and down the stairs, my kids are always cutting themselves and they always have bumps and bruises. So I just, and I'm not in your circle, so I didn't know much about, you know, wounds and opens. I mean, I've seen people on the, you know, if somebody falls down in the street and then somebody goes, okay, oh, they're bleeding, somebody get a napkin before you help them or whatever. You know, like I'm not a not compassionate person, but that was a reasonable thing to think about. I'm telling you, my kids had a lot of bloody noses and bloody hands, and I just worried about, you know, all the people coming. I didn't know what they were, because some of them didn't look well, you know, and so perhaps I have a little bit more to learn about how one could actually contract it, and if it could ever happen to my 2-year-old child, and would I ever want that, or whatever. That's my own thing to work on, but I just feel like there's been no place for us to have this conversation, because I've been very busy trying to raise kids and get through what I get through, and also enjoy them. And I just feel like you've taken away some of the joy, taken away some of the joy that I have. Just, you know, being this is.
I understand what you're saying. I do. What you may not understand is that what you're doing by letting Andreas run rampant is taking away all of the joy in the last few months that I have with Ralph. Because
wait. So how does that impact you?
Well, I feel horribly that he's sick, and you know, I don't know how I'm going to tell my child not to be who he is, but I can certainly, I can make some efforts to put some more rugs on the floor,
that's a great start.
And I can.
Wait, did you hear what he said?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I believe that every human being has the right to have joy in their life, and that's what we are put on earth.
And Robert has a right to.
That's right. That's right. So I absolutely, you know, but I can't life-proof my house. You know, like that's what it is. It's full of life right now. It's full of young, bouncy, loud, annoying, gorgeous life.
But limits.
Can we talk about limits?
If you want to come up with a proposal that you think is fair, I mean, this is how my husband does it in business, right? You come up with a proposal, I'll read the proposal, I'll come up with a counter proposal. I mean, on some level, I can't promise you that after 7 p.m. it's going to be silent, but I can do my best to, I can let you know what some of my kids' schedule is when we have the piano lesson, that kind of thing. Or perhaps you could let me know if Ralph is in a treatment for something, or you're having a special meeting, it's a particularly good time for the house to be quiet. And I can try to accommodate. I mean, I was going to have a birthday party next week, so I could slip a note under your door a day ahead of time, letting you know when it was going to be.
Let me check this out. How do you respond to Carol's proposal? But if you let her know, she can try and accommodate more.
I'm all for it.
Okay. So there are a couple of things so far that it seems to me we have on the table. One is rugs, which is something I heard you ask.
Lots of rugs.
Lots of rugs. So what does lots mean?
Lots of rugs.
Well,
we have
I'm
lots of hardwood floors in that building. Just lots of area rugs.
Okay, I would like to say a little bit about joy too. I love my hardwood floors, and I'm willing to compromise.
A runner down the hall.
Okay, all right.
That would be a huge step.
That I can do.
A runner, okay,
Yeah,
so we got a runner down the hall. And the other piece, it seems like we have, and tell me if this is right, is that you have some communication about, you'll let Carol know if Ralph is having a treatment or needs some quiet time. And maybe you can let Robert know when you're planning something where you're anticipating noise and check it out. So at the very least, he can anticipate it.
Right.
Would that be helpful?
Yes.
Okay. Are there other things that are important to discuss? At least for today.
Do you have to have those meetings at your?
No, I don't.
Wait. So, okay.
But why don't you want me to have them then?
I just told you, because I mean, is that silly though?
Well, so
is that,
wait.
I don't know.
Let's ask that question. Hold on. So what you want to know is what are the reasons? What's interesting to you about the reason?
Because if it's because if it is for the simple fact of homophobia and hatred, then no, I will have more meetings there.
Okay. And versus?
And if it's a safety issue, a legitimate safety issue, I will educate you. I will love for you to meet these God-fearing people.
Now, Robert.
So what are the
There's
Well, Robert, let me ask you, before you said yes, but, so I'm curious.
yes, but I want to know why.
Yeah, and so we can ask Carol. what's the option? So Carol's asking right now, what I heard Carol ask is it an option for you not to have those meetings?
It's an option, it is an option, but it's not something that I will do lightly.
Okay.
It really isn't.
Okay.
As I said, people in the group are living much longer. It's not what it.
Right.
The group's focus has changed.
Right.
If I don't have to do it as often,
Okay. So
I can cut back,
Yeah.
but I will not end it.
So let me sort of rephrase this to Carol, to you. Okay. So here's what I heard on you.
Yes.
Okay. One is it's not. He's open to hearing your concerns, and because of just the nature of things being what they are, there's less of a need. It sounds like there's less of an acute need to have these things as often as maybe there was some time ago.
Mm.
But they're still important enough for Robert to want to continue and not simply say no forever. But one of the things that will help him to make some of those choices is to know from you whether you're asking this out of, my words, bigotry, hatred type stuff,
Yes.
or concern, safety type stuff.
I think they're very closely related, and honestly, I think I don't want the hatred and the bigotry part to be part of the story. I feel there must be a part of me that just, you know, you can't take this part of me out. If that means I'm a bigot or I'm a hater, or I felt like I wasn't when we first met and I'm not now, but I have gotten a little more anxious since I became a parent, and perhaps that's lack of education, and perhaps it's just because my kids are little and they look at big people and, you know, they see boo-boos, or they, you know, and I don't really know how to talk about it, and I have to do a little bit more thinking about that myself. Perhaps it wasn't something I should have put on the table, but since we were in sort of a, I appreciate you not yelling at me about it, because I know that was really pushing it, but you threw the rugs in, so I thought I would just ask for anything I could at that moment. I mean, I feel like, let me think about it, because I might not be. I would really like to have just a place of peace, and also,
That's all I want. That's all I want too.
Did you hear Robert?
I do.
So
I heard you say it. You shout a little bit more than I'm used to, and I'm kind of a shouter. So I'm just letting you know that if the shouting bothers me, it's more heightened than you might imagine. Maybe.
The volume?
Yes, and just the ability with which you, like, when I say you think you spoke to Andreas and I say you shouted, I mean, it could have been in your mind speaking, but it just was the word choice and the body language, and so I
accept that.
Let's.
Did you do what he said?
I do. I'll just be quiet.
So right now, we've got 4 things, it seems like. We've got the area of rugs, we've got the communication, we've got, what else?
The meeting thing we can
the
shelf for right now, but
those are the 3 main ones?
And the list of.
The schedule.
That's more of a schedule, like.
That's right.
We used to be friends.
Perhaps not just used to be. So for now, I think we've done a good amount of work. So I want to thank you both for coming in here. And if you have any questions, concerns, follow up, meeting, by all means, come back.